Hey folks, we're going to do some more character art here for Eberron. These are characters, NPC characters that are the source of hooks that lead you into the adventure that we've been creating. They become your contact and can become an additional source of hooks and leads for you in the future. Let me get my cover up here for the adventure that we're designing, the Crystals of Mabar by Eberron campaign setting. Us, Andy Headley, myself, and Stuart Braz. Those guys are superstars. Give me a second here to make sure my signal's coming through. Give a shout out to folks on the Discords, and let me get this out of the way here like that, and then we'll get to work for a little while. So, check my signal. That's right. Here we go. Check. Here we go. Wow, that's coming in loud and clear. Cheers to that. How's my volume doing over here? Yeah, we're doing okay. Cool. All right, that's coming in loud and clear, and here, and let's see. Give a shout out across. Let me just do my intro spiel here while I'm posting signal that I'm live elsewhere. So, hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games and supplements and adventures. I publish them online as PDFs. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons and Dragons specifically for the past few years. 5th edition, there are links in the description down below to a slew of books that I've already published. Probably about 150 illustrations and like maybe 250 pages of content across all the books that we have there, but there's a lot more on DMsGuild beyond that. You can check out my stuff. If you're here for the art and don't really care about D&D, the previews are extensive. You can check out all the art that I produced for those books. Just by opening up the preview and just flipping through the PDF, you'll see all the artwork that we produced. It's going to be similar to this sort of stuff. So, also in the link down below, there is access to my Patreon. If you wanted to, throw me some coffee money. We just posted that we're live on Twitter at Phil Kearney. If you want to get notifications of when I'm live in the future, you can follow me at Phil Kearney. Otherwise, you can follow me here on YouTube with like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to let Google know that this long form of content production is something that is interesting and desired. We're at 190 followers of subscribers. That's more than last week. So thanks a lot, guys, for taking an interest and sticking around. We're now at episode 148. So we've been doing this for a year. Man, production time is slow. If I ever get up to escape velocity and quit my day job, I could be doing this 8 hours a day. That would be amazing. But we'll earn it. We'll earn our way there. We built this cover around episode 40, so you can go back into the playlist and check out the creation here. If you've seen all the different maps that we've built over the past year, you'll see how each of these silhouettes are different locations that you can venture into the forest to find these locations that all go down underground to the underground dungeon where the crystals are incubating extra dimensional creatures that will spew forth from the plane of Mabar. There's six plot hooks that you could use, and depending on what the hook is, it starts you closer and closer to the nexus at the core of the adventure. So like it could be a one shot, actually the way that we're presenting them here. Scales that way. This guy's from Ader Academy that knows that the artifact has been stolen. They know where it's at. They just need some muscle to go do it on the down low, so they can plane shift you basically to the front door for you to fight through the Act 3 dungeon without messing around with any of the stuff prior to that. This guy, this nefarious fellow, represents the 12, which is a mysterious organization of evil wizards that are funding the operation that the team finds out about. But the necromancers that are running the ritual to stabilize the manifest zone to Mabar have gone rogue and gone radio silent, and now the 12 are concerned that they're shockingly being double-crossed by evil necromancers. What a surprise. So they need to send you in to investigate and potentially clean it up. The Church of the Silver Flame has diviners and seers. They stare into flames to gain glimpses of the future and divine knowledge. And she has discovered that this manifest zone has been created and that it's the source of evil in Karnath anew. So they want to send a team in, but they're not so certain where the location is at. So you could gate in to Act 3, but if the DM wants, he could have you arrive even all the way out in Act 1 and have you slog through it long form style. Today we're going to work on, we have 3 left. This is Gatekeepers, which is an Orcish Druidic society that keeps an eye on extraplanar chaos that could lead to the destruction of the world, and they send in kill squads to remove the threat and whoever may have caused it. So these guys can do a ritual that will do a high-level tree stride effect. So you go into a tree and then you come out another tree, either in Act 2 forest or inside the manifest zone itself, inside of a decaying tree. So you have options there. There's a sheriff that oversees the entire region of Karnath that this is taking place in, but he doesn't have time to look into all of the little problems that refugee villages are running across. He's got literally hundreds of these little refugee camps, and he has an open border into the Talenta Plains, where halflings have made it a habit of raiding through during the last war because defenses were down. So the plains are overran with dinosaurs and cannibalistic halflings that need to be cleared out. So that's keeping a lot of his attention. And then finally, the village that we finished 2 weeks ago during the stream, you have family members that settled there, and they've invited you to have a homestead. If you need someplace to retire or lay low or whatever, you're welcome to come out and work the land and have an honest living with them. So that would put you in Act 1 along with the sheriff. But if you take that plot hook, you can either arrive with everyone's okay and there's, everyone's happy to see you, la-di-da, celebration, here's your house. Oh crap, undead are attacking us from the manifest zone. Or if you want to make it sadder than that, they can arrive. The party can arrive after everyone is dead, and some of your family is dead, others are missing, having been kidnapped by the necromancers to continue fueling the ritual to stabilize the manifest zone by sacrificing people to it. But you got to go find them to be able to figure that stuff out. So 6 different plots. These start in the Act 1. These 2 can start you in Act 1 or 2 or even Act 3. And these assume that you start in Act 3, but if the plane shift isn't good, it could land you in the forest of Act 2 or even even out in the village or on the road in Act 1, and you have to slog your way through the whole thing. It just depends on if you want it to be a one-shot in the 3rd act, if you want to have it last maybe 2 sessions, maybe 3 sessions in Act 2 and Act 3, or if you want to build it into a campaign for however long it takes, you can start them all the way with Act 1. When you're in Act 3, these guys, they're just about the money. They don't care who you hurt and what you got to do to get the artifact back or to regain control of the ritual for their profit. In the Gatekeepers and the Silver Flame, they want you to eliminate the threat and ideally destroy anything and anyone that has anything to do with it to shut the manifest zone down so that evil doesn't just come spewing through. And then Act 1, these guys, you have no idea what's going on. So all you know is that there's trouble and these villagers are having difficulties and you need to help them. And as you dive into the undead threat hits the village, so, okay, great, we have a zombie thing going on. So then you get into the woods, you find out there's evil creatures that are creeping in there that probably shouldn't be there. And as you push further through, you find that the necromancers are causing all this, and now it's time for you to slaughter. And in these circumstances, in both cases, well, in all cases, there's villagers being taken and sacrificed to keep the ritual going long enough to stabilize the manifest zone, to permanize it, so they can start mining it for creatures and exotic materials. Hey, Dennis, it's good to see you, man. But yeah, you have more. This is plot hook. This is plot hook 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the higher in numbers you go, the less of a clue you have. Like their family inviting you is hey, we have a farmhouse here. Do you want to farm wheat with us? It's a decent life. You're well, yeah, I actually need to lay low for a year, so why don't I go push some barley for a while? But the sheriff knows that people are disappearing from that village, these guys know that there's an evil force that's present. That is probably that they don't necessarily know that villagers are being killed. They just know that there's a problem. And these guys know specifically what the problem is, what items are used to do it, how it's being done, and this guy knows who, but this guy knows what. So these two guys have different information available to you. And depending on which plot hook your DM wants to use, you give them different materials, like you get different magic items or knowledge at the front end of the adventure, and your rewards are different at the back end of it, and it opens up different paths for you to be able to continue the adventure if you want into a larger campaign. So it's more of a toolkit. I mean, it's an adventure, but there's so much to it. You can add and remove virtually any pieces from any of it, and it still works. It's all like, if you've heard that term, jacqueing a dungeon, where you have this environment and there's multiple ways to get to different destinations within that dungeon, but depending which path you take creates different problems and different solutions that you have. It changes the adventure depending on what pathway you choose. This adventure is built all around that. From who you're working with changes, what your tone is. Like if you wanted to do this like a paid DM or like a party or something like that, like as a one shot, right? You could roll a random die for each character, roll a d6, and that character is working that specific plot line, and they could choose to share or conceal information from the rest of the party, but they have different pieces of equipment that they'll come in with, or different information about what's going on, so they can lend their resources to the party as a whole. But some of these plot, like the gatekeepers want you to destroy the artifact. When you find out there is an artifact, they want you to destroy it and kill all the necromancers involved with it and burn the whole thing to the ground. But if you go like with the 12 hiring you, they want to keep the operation going. Just kill the necromancers and so that they can bring in new guys to replace them that are more reliable. The Ader Academy just wants the artifact back and wants evidence of who stole it, so they can use legal channels to prosecute the necromancers, so that they can be tried as criminals, because it's a state sponsored. They'll hire mercenaries on the download to find stuff out, but once they have the evidence they need, they want you to follow legal channels. The sheriff would probably want you to follow legal channels too, but he doesn't have time to mess with this stuff, so he gives you full authority to do whatever you think you need, depending on what it is that you find. He doesn't have time to figure out what the problem is, so he certainly isn't going to be around to consult what the proper solution is. He deputizes you, so you have the right to take whatever action it is that you feel necessary, and he, assuming that the people support you in what you do and have evidence of what happened there, he's not going to contest anything that you did. Meanwhile, there's a whole facility that you could take and become your fortress. That facility is underground. It can lead into the Underdark, as well as if you decide to keep the plane open and stabilize it to create your own magical workshop, working with undead and darkness energy, then all these guys become threats that could attack you while you're trying to perform your rituals. So there's a lot of really fun ways to play it. So that's probably enough blah-de-blah for now. I'm going to make this art better. It's a decent sketch, but it's a bit shaggy. Like this one, pretty clean line art. This was the original that was underneath it. So you see that we kind of modified it a little bit, but I'm really happy with it. I kind of like the old sketch sticking through on the back end of it. Like here's the original sketch here. And then here's the cleaned up line art, but I kind of like them both being present. I don't know. It's just, I'm going to drop color in on it, but when I do, I think I'm just going to clean up the outer edges and leave all that internal, like all that loose line weight inside of there as just texture to help create subtle patterns and things for us to build out more texture and interest, instead of these just like being a broad. Like a broad paneled lapel. These scratch marks may inspire us to do something. I don't know, but my heart's telling me that I should leave them there, and which that I refer to as my muse. and I like to listen to what she says. So we're just going to follow orders. I'm going to pull into black and white. We're just working with some raw line art here. I think I can go up to a 4. Ooh, 5. Yeah, 5. So if you've seen any of the work that I do in the mornings for the Spelljammer art that I do, you'll know that I'll do the line art, and then I'll drop color underneath it, put in lighting underneath it, under the line work, and then I'll bond it all together into a single layer, and then I'll work the line art into the color so it's less comic booky and more semi-realism. So, hey, Hernetico, it's good to see you, my guy. So I'm going to go ahead and set my clock. It's 7:30 here in Seattle. So I think I'm going to stick around for... Well, we'll stick around until we finish the line art for the 3 characters that we haven't finished yet. So we have 3 characters to go. It may take an hour of bullshittery for me to finish these guys, and then we'll see how my pulse feels, and if I want, I could then get into doing some block color underneath them. So we'll see where the adventure leads us, and so let's get started. I got a clock going, 20-minute block. I'm drinking Coca-Cola tonight. Breaking out of my habit and enjoying Coke. So let's see. How do we want to start this? We'll break brow. Go to here. I love how how do I say how rich role-playing opportunities are with the Orcish and Bugbear tribes and Goblinoids that are in on Corvair, the continent that we focus on in Eberron. Mostly focus our attention on in Eberron. They're intelligent, ancient. Like they have more living knowledge of the world that's predominated by humans right now than the humans themselves know. Like the gatekeepers have been around for, if I know my lore correctly, tens of thousands of years. Basically doing whatever they need to do to keep the world from being destroyed by other planes colliding with the world, and they're super cutthroat about it. Like they have a very long view of the world, and whoever you are but a blink of its eye. And if you're doing anything that's going to blacken that eye, you gotta go. And they will be very hostile about resolving how that goes. So I love them. I think they're freaking great. There's also the Orcish tribes that fight demons in the suitably named Demon Wastes. They're just nomadic tribes that will fight each other, but most of the time they're too busy fighting low-ranked demons that are spewing forth from hell. So they've got a lot on their plate. But again, they also have rich ancient cultures that are basically like rangers and paladins and like wardens. They're hardcore, man. I love them. The goblins are like sorcerers and artificers that are aware of the goblinoid nations that have fallen to the wayside over the past few thousand years, but the tech is still down, buried in the ground. It's just a matter of, like, if it's a savvy tribe, they'll know how some of the stuff works, but they might not just necessarily know where it is. While you could run across another tribe that is living amongst these just inoperative like eldritch machines. They don't know how they work. They don't know what they do. They have all sorts of weird religions built around them, but the tech is there. And so there's this. Oh, there's so much variety you can do with the non-human, the greenskins of Eberron. I just fucking love them. Absolutely awesome. Trying to get a grumpy look on this face before I lock it down with a bunch of scruff. Text. Dragon King. Hey, man. It's good to see you, guy. Thanks everybody for showing up. So we're gonna get hostile with this guy. The gatekeepers, if you have the gatekeepers as your plot hook, they have a ritual, like I mentioned earlier. They have a ritual, like a massive tree stride ritual, that wherever you're, assumingly you're in the Eldeen Reaches, which is about like 1,500 miles away from Karnathi, if I recall my map correctly. So they become aware that this manifest zone has been activated. And if you were to walk there, I mean, it's going to end before it even be. You won't even be there before it's already over. So they're going to use a like a 9th level tree stride spell, basically, and send you across the world, kind of like a plane shift, but via trees. And there's a specific possessed tree that the characters could arrive at. So like. It's like they're like, hey, you need to go through, find what this problem is. We know there's a manifest zone that's erupted. Like, okay, so they keep an eye on the moons. And what the moons are doing tells them where the different dimensions, the different outer planes of Eberron are related to Eberron. And they will they'll co-terminate, which means they overlap realities. And that's where manifest zones come from. It's when one reality bleeds into another. So the manifest zone to Mabar is the plane of nightmares and shadow, basically awakening in the world of Eberron, and so demonic, evil, fear-based creatures spill out and put hate on, whoever's around. So the gatekeepers can see that something is wrong. I think it's Shagath. I can't remember the name offhand of what the moon of Mabar is. But it's out of alignment. It's like it's being literally pulled towards Eberron, which is telling them that someone's fucking around with it. And they can use their divination to figure out where it's located at, so they can tree stride you to that location. So like, here, what they give you is a gate seal. It's a little pebble. And if you throw it into the nexus where the ritual is being performed, it turns into a 10 foot by 10 foot, 20-ton block of magic that just goes clunk, chunk, and locks in and seals it shut, and it shuts down that manifest zone forever. That's a thing that is like an actual magic item that's in. I don't know which book it's in, but gate seals is a thing specifically built to do just that. So there's not a lot of gatekeeper adventures out there that I know of. So it's really cool to be able to have that stuff introduced into the game. So they give you a gate seal, and they give you a dagger that like crits undead like on 18 to 20. So it's a good weapon. It's the only one they can offer you in the short amount of time that they have. So like you can use the gate seal. The gate seal will get hotter the closer you get, and it'll start vibrating. And when you actually get to the nexus zone, it'll literally just hop out of your hand and clatter across the floor and go there by itself like it's possessed. So it's dummy proof. As long as you can see the nexus zone, that rock is going to work its way into the nexus zone for you while you're fighting stuff. If you want to just throw it in there to expedite the whole thing, then it changes the final battle, because you've just basically pulled the cord on their power source, and chaos ensues. So, but when they gate you in, depending on how the DM wants to run it, if you arrive in the third act inside of the manifest zone, there's only one tree that survives so far because it's possessed by evil spirits, kind of like the poltergeist tree. So you gate through and you're immediately being attacked by a giant tree monster. Like before you can even get your bearing, you're ambushed by this tree. Pardon the pun. But if the DM wants to stretch out wants to add it to an actual campaign and let it play out, then you can arrive anywhere in the second act, which is a forest between the village that we were mapping last week and the manifest zone. So you arrive in the forest, and the stone feels hotter if you head north. That's the direction of the manifest zone. When you look up, the moon from Mabar is full, and it's not supposed to be. It should be about half. It should be only like a quarter moon or a half moon, whatever it is we have. But it is like dangerously out of season for that moon to be full. So by the time you get into the manifest zone, there's so much gloom that you can't see the moon above you, but you can kind of feel it. And it's drawing closer. So the ritual is basically like pulling the moon into reality, and it passes through the planet. And when it passes through the planet, it leaves a manifest zone permanently there. So the beam of energy, like, so we're looking, if we go back to the cover, this is the Nexus, the ritual room that has basically a what do you call it? It's like a safe room, right? And it has this basically mass that's grown over the ritual as a protective shell. But this energy beam that's shooting out of it, that's the symbol that means Mabar, and the moon is a dull gray. So this energy beam is projecting into subspace to hit the moon and pull it. And so if you look up inside of, like, you're 500 feet underground, but when you look up, it's open sky, and the moon is massive. It just keeps getting closer and closer to you. So at some point, it's not designed to arrive there. But if the DM decides that he wants it to permanentize, the moon, like I said, the moon passes through the ritual, and it just disappears, and all that there is then it's literally Mabar. So you can step into the Nexus and you're on Mabar. So it becomes a permanent portal between the two planes, which could be super cool if you want to have like a Shadowfell campaign. That Shadowfell would be in Mabar. So anyway, that's the gist of it. So and all these different maps we've been are silhouette. Like, here's the flooded fort that's silhouetted. Here's the topside entrance and the hole, the elevator shaft. The elevator shaft doesn't literally lead to the crystal. That's a false narrative. But if you look at the whole dungeon from a certain perspective, it lines up with the shaft and the Nexus zone. So it's inferred. And then over here is the cemetery. The cemetery has a secret passage that goes underground that leads into the dungeon. There's a flooded tunnel underneath the fort that leads down into the Act 3 dungeon as well. So this is where the Act 3 dungeon is at, and obviously all the stuff is missing, but we're seeing, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different characters, each representing one of the hooks. So there you go, 6 adventurers, 6 hooks leading down to this dungeon to knock out this ritual that's pulling towards the moon, pulling it. Anyway, you get it. So it's cool. Hopefully it's cool. I think it's cool. So hopefully other people think it's cool too. Anyway, the end. Ever notice how much the Skrull from Marvel look like orcs? I don't know if that's like a running joke or something that someone else has already realized, but I just drew this ear and it made me think of the Skrull, which made me think, well, Skrull are awfully orc, aren't they? And the answer is yes. Yes, they are very orc. Anyway, Bob's your uncle. I don't know if you knew that or not, but it's true. Do that. I arguably don't need any more caffeine. Very good. Do that. There and here and everywhere. maybe I need a little less of all of that. A little less of that. He was pointing to all of me. Exactly. Making some eyes. I'm doing a lot of symmetry today. A lot of symmetry today. Get rid of that line. Line. His face is off. Fix your face, son. I need to change the angle on that nose a little bit. Nerf. Hey, buddy, where are you at? Thank you. These plot hook people, they aren't important at all in the adventure. Once they assign you the task, they send you on your way, and it's the wrap up, the conclusion is the next opportunity for you to interact with them. And of course, if you're working multiple plot hooks at the same time, like on a randomizer, there's a decent chance that someone's going to have to disappoint their patron, and it's just a matter of what objectives does each character have, and as a party, which players are willing to give up their goals, or perhaps say they're giving up their goals, but when the moment's right, keep their goals, and you can score a 6-pack or free pizza or something like that, depending on who achieves their goals. So I like bribing the players. Feels like there's more stake, steak. We gotta rough this guy up. He's looking a little too friendly. He needs to be a little more pissy. Honestly, the world's going to end. He doesn't really have time to worry about if your feelings are hurt or not. It's kind of serious business that these guys are involved in. Yeah. First 20 minutes. Let's keep it going. Bring this in a bit. Drop down the size a touch. Give it a tilt. His face is too small. Let's do that. Looking better. We're getting there. Damn it, what's the name of that actor who was in that 70s show and was the main villain, the main henchman in Total Recall? You know, he talks kind of like this, and he has a balding hairline, and he called his son a dumbass on that 70s show. I can't remember his name, but this reminds me of his jawline. Not that it matters. It's all going to get covered over with fluff. But I wanted to at least establish the musculature so I knew how things sat. Just like with landscapes, just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. So you have to pay attention to it. It's important. I don't really care what his name is. But that's what it is. Zeros of hands hunting for the answer. When my forces assemble, you'll meet an army of me. Watch out now. Let's get that right. There we go. Now we got some stern disapproval and disappointment going.
I am not satisfied.
Still not satisfied.
All right, that's looking more on point. I don't know, this guy almost seems like a unibrow sort of fellow. I wonder if he's ever met anyone who would refer to him as a fellow. Signs point to no. Something about mutton chops makes me think about orcs.
I think it's actually more of a bugbear sort of thing.
It doesn't really matter. I thought I heard the ice cream truck.
We have 3 ice cream trucks that stalk this neighborhood because there is a shitload of kids aged 12 and younger that just run around and play ball and bike in the street. It is super freaking, on a nice day, it's awesome. I grew up in a large neighborhood of roaming gangs of children. Back in the day when your parents just wanted you gone, they didn't care what you were doing as long as you came back alive.
So there would be, like, we'd play flashlight tag. I don't know if anyone out there ever played flashlight tag, where if they shine the light on you, you're it. So there'd be like,
so we'd have mobs of like 25 to 30 kids in a neighborhood that basically covered about a mile or so.
And so we would just roam around and try to evade having a light shown on us. And there, for every 3 kids that were running, there'd be 1 flashlight. So if we had a gaggle of 24 kids that night, we'd have 6 flashlights. So it'd be a team of hunters, and then everyone else were runners. That was super, super fun. Why was I talking about that? I just woke up again. I'm sorry. I know I was talking about something, but I have no idea what it was. Something about flashlight tag, but I have no idea why the hell I was talking about that.
Yeah, it's totally escaping me.
Oh well, whatever. C'est la vie. Life of a channeler. This guy's looking dope. Nothing like the original sketch, but super freaking cool. I mean, arguably, most of these are deviating away from the original sketches, but I think they're all... Actually, I think they're all pretty damn strong, so I'm really happy about it. Cold meat, mutton pie. Will you tell me when your mother dies? I'll be there to bury her. Cold meat, mutton pie, cold meat. Ow. I can see this guy playing flashlight tag. You know, if I were to make my own role-playing game, and I've talked about this before, but I would get rid of the druid. If I were to stick with the D&D mentality, I would get rid of druid, make it a nature cleric, take that wild shaping stuff and give it to the ranger, and then get rid of spellcasting on the ranger. The ranger would not need spellcasting if it could turn into an owlbear. I will argue that druid in the D&D movie didn't cast a single damn spell. I don't think she cast a single spell other than a flavor cantrip. I think she's a ranger, a martial ranger with shapeshifting. And that is how I would play it. I think the druid eats all of the ranger's primal character narrative, and I think they need to drop druid back into just being a type of cleric, so that its identity is as a nature priest with access to a bunch of ranger-esque, primal type spells as their special spell list. And then I could potentially keep... You know what? Honestly, keeping Ranger on a spell system, and then allowing them, instead of smiting, use the spells, the spell energy. Well, I'm a mana enthusiast, obviously, but you spell slot people out there, you can keep your secrets. But spend spell slots or spend your mana pool to do boosted transformation effects. Like, you have to spend a second level spell slot with a wild shape, and now you can fly, for instance, and then you can pick like a flying creature. You can maintain it for however many, whatever spell slot. Like, if you spend a spell slot, it'll last an hour per spell slot or something like that. Like, if you're using a mana pool where it's just a point by point, like every hour you can spend another point and keep the shape up. That sort of thing. There's like a shitload of mechanical space that could be explored with that idea. And then it wouldn't be competing with the paladin identity of it being a half caster with smite powers. It would be just like a shitload of transformation stuff, like trample, and like huge and gargantuan size would cost extra slots. And I just think that'd be... Oh, we're doing it. We going with the unibrow. Unibrow achieved. Nice. This guy's looking dope. Hey, Nitro, it's good to see you. I think once Martial Powers publishes, maybe I should start looking at doing a mana cost for animal shifting or shape shifting, and make that a general martial option, like that the barbarian and the ranger could spend mana on instead of the normal martial powers. Like there's, oh my god, when that martial powers book comes out, there is like no limit to what we could do with it. Like one of the things I want to do is Dimir. I want to do a book of Dimir power, blue black energy, Magic the Gathering style, assassination, subterfuge, mind control, identity theft. Like there is so much you could just do for ad hoc mana spend. So like I can read his surface thoughts. I say this word and I'm going to see what he thinks of when I say it. Martha. What is the? Oh my God! His mom's name is Martha. Like that's a Dimir type of thing to do. Like that'd cost 1 mana. Like during this conversation, I have read thoughts as long as I can keep this guy in conversation. So like it wouldn't be concentration; it'd be attention. I can force this guy to pay attention to me by sustaining a point of mana, and he'd have to make a will save or something to be able to break his attention away. And when he's attempting to do that, I could throw down a point to force him to re-roll again and take the score if it's lower. That sort of thing. Had more terrain-based features that can make you really feel like a master hunter of the land. Yeah, that would be nice. I too would appreciate that. I think there needs to be a deeper mechanics involved with terrain in the first place, I think, for that to have any kind of real meaning, right? I don't know if Advanced 5e delved into more about terrain, but I'm an enthusiast of that idea. You have my vote, Drag. I'm sure I'm spending a lot of time on this guy. I don't care. I'm playing. I'm just having fun. There, better. I like this music. Anyway. Keep that scruff like that. He has his inner scruff, and then he has the outer scruff. We'll give him color back when we get there. Silhouettes do a lot to help make sure you're actually balanced. Or, I'm sorry, filling in the eyes like that does a lot to make sure things are balanced. That feels fairly on target. Hey, text. What's up? It's like kind of being to only say what is needed, not even in full sense. Yeah. He looks... I don't think druids have time for love. I mean, the whole world's at stake right now. Get to work. I think the takeaway from all that, though, Dragon, is that you looked at it more than once. It probably means it's cool. So that unto itself is a victory, regardless of what he may or may not say. That's super good news. But I agree. No time for love, Dr. Jones. Over scruff has been achieved. For when your eyebrows and your beard merge into one. That is when the darkness consumes him. His ears are off. Dope. This guy is like the feral version of this guy. I love it. Brothers. That's awesome. Oh man, that's too fun. I should give him glasses. No. Get out of there, scallywag. That's too funny. Oh man. Same person, two different builds. Same. Nice. Just swap the wisdom and the intelligence. Too fun. God, I could build a whole campaign around that. Shaman Crunk wants to destroy all of the artifacts that can be used in different rituals to permanentize different planar gates, and he's sworn to destroy all of them, while Professor Crunk wants to gather all of them and research them to wield their power. Shaman Crunk knows better, but Professor Crunk doesn't listen to his heart. And so the two major powers of the campaign are born: the benevolent sponsor for the characters, and the opposition. Depending on which side of the conflict you want to be on, you can either be trying to gather these artifacts and prevent them from being destroyed by Shaman Crunk's monstrous allies, or if you're on the shaman's team, then the learned wizards. You have to fight off the artificers and wizards to keep them from capturing and taking the artifacts off to their research lab. And then at later levels, like if you're on Shaman Crunk's team, then you can raid the labs and try to destroy the artifacts inside of there. And if you're on Professor Crunk's team, then you could try to. Hell, I don't know what you do because Shaman Crunk just wants to destroy them. So I guess it'd have to be some sort of a sabotage mission. I don't know. Take out Crunk. Who knows? That'd be a super cool campaign, though. Have I told you yet about what happened to my group? That they finally... Oh, they did? Oh, when did that happen, dude? Did you just scene skip? Like they decided to go on a road, so you did like a side swipe and then or a star swipe, and then they were at the outskirts of the Thorpe, or how did that flow? So they talk to the constable and then the mayor, and after the mayor goes through his journal, recalling the recent events, the party starts talking amongst each other. Oh, good news. Lots of scruff. So the party consists of two groups, one with hook 6, so family, and another with a mix of Aider Academy and Sheriff. Oh, that's a good mix. And someone in group 2 let out having pre-knowledge of something to cry. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. How fun. That sits nicely. I had no idea Group 2's goals until this. Oh! That's awesome. So they knew going in that they were actually working different plots, or is that just something that is that metadata that they were unaware of until, like, I guess you shared it, or how did that work? Sorry, I'm all quizzing you because you're the third DM to run through it. I can hear that like 1,000 tables all at once. Yeah, you should definitely let your teammates know about the necrotic apocalypse. That's like just one of the rules. Very nice. That's awesome that it's locked in for them. They're like, oh yeah, well, this is something we're doing then. That's awesome. So much fun. Hey, Fred, how you doing, my man? I knew that they had separate plots. That's so cool. That is so cool, man. Well done, Nitro. Nitori. I can't believe I can't believe I've been dyslexing so hard that I thought your name was Nitro all this time, but no, it's Nitori. Huh. I've literally switched the R and the O every time I've read your name forever. I didn't think I had dyslexia, but I keep finding out that I do. God, that's so cool, man. Fred has been How to RPG. Fred Willard. He's been building out on his stream alternate versions of the traditional character classes for a 5e adjacent game system. That I guess you're just building it for the funsies. Is that right? Just for the content of it? Because I think it's fun as hell. It's looking at core classes and reassessing their values and like what their identity is and what kind of mechanics can be used to more properly express the aspects of that identity that you want to emphasize. It's a really fun thought experiment to break down the content that you think you know. But it just makes it more your own. I love it. I love just how excellent both 5e and 3e were for just bashing together new systems. It's such a light, loose game system. It's the lack of mechanics can be frustrating for people. I think it's incredibly liberating. But I like to design stuff. Like when I was in 3rd edition, I didn't feel the need to design anything because there were so many different mechanical systems coming out. Like you take you take Weapons of Legacy, and you take Book of the Nine Swords. You take Magic of Incarnum, and then you take Book of Magic and Book of Scoundrels. Mix those 5 books together to be able just to build all sorts of just abominations, just crazy mechanical builds. And then if you go in Gestalt, so you're building 2 trees at the same time to the same character. Then you get Savage Species, so you're using virtual levels on your character build to be a different type of creature. Like an ogre was worth 3 character levels, for instance. So if you start at 7th level as a Gestalt character, you can have 7 levels of Barbarian, 3 levels of ogre, and then have 4 levels of like shaman on top of that. And you have just like this mega badass, huge, like large size monster. Oh god, it's so cool. There were so many things that you could do with 3rd edition just with the things that existed. There was never a need to design anything. There's so many things that's like, oh god, I want to build this broken thing next. And run that for 5 levels and see what that feels like. Never got boring. And 5e is just so thin in comparison, but mechanically legit. So it's like completely different. It's like I'm walking out of 3e, and then I went and played Numenera, and then when I came back in its 5th edition, I'm like, where's all the depth? I have like 20 years worth of mechanical systems, and all of it's nothing in this game system. So it's like, let them cook. It's like the whole system's it amazes me how little Wizards ignores their previous editions, like the Cunning Strikes for the new Rogue, that was in Complete Scoundrels back in like 2007 in 3rd edition. It's not new. They just homebrewed it like everyone else is doing on DMsGuild. They just took old things that were super fucking cool and they translated it into 5e mechanics and said, here, we fixed Rogue. And everyone was like, you fixed Rogue! It's yeah. It was really, we just referenced our own shit. Like they could seriously, like once a month, they could grab just any of the books that they had from 3rd or even 4th edition and say, hey, here's how you can think about and look at this as 5th edition, go play. And then Reddit explodes with cunning strike options for the next month until they come back and say, hey, in Magic Incarnate, we had Boots of the Land Shark that allow you to burrow. You gain a burrow speed with it and an ambush effect when you come up out of the ground. Go play. And then everyone would just fuck around with that for a month. And then their UAs could be, hey, we're going to do this giant thing. Here's 5 different things from 3rd and 4th edition that played into that giant idea that we've translated into 5e mechanics. Which one of these things do you think is the baddest? Or the coolest? And then everyone's like, I think that's the coolest. It's okay, we'll take some of that, but then we want to use this, this, and this on top of it to rebuild the barbarian, for instance. They could be doing that and really make a stream, make a design jam out of it and really pull people into it. Hey, if you guys want to be invested in shaping what 6th edition is going to be about, come play with us and explore what we've succeeded with in the past and what can we pull into the future of 6e that will just make the game more fun. And that would just lock everyone from the creator scene and the old grognards, the old guards that are I wish it was like in the olden days. It's great, let's play with the olden days for a little while. How would you build that into, I don't know, like a ritual system or whatever the hell it is that we're talking about? That would be fucking amazing. They would have just fanatical support from anyone out there who likes to kit bash. And it's like they don't even know they some of the people that are still in the staff created 3rd and 4th edition. And it's why aren't you guys talking to us about this stuff? Most of the kids that are playing these days don't even know there is a Book of Scoundrels. They've never heard of the Factotum. It's the Bard could the Factotum, you can pull half of the Factotum into what the Bard could be. It's just maybe you don't. But that's the point. They aren't leaning on all the work that they've done in the past, and they'd end up selling books. It's I want to check out Complete Scoundrel. Well, it's on the DMsGuild for $5. If you want to print a copy, it'll cost you $15. Go for it. And it's just anyway. I see a much bigger, better world where WotC is actually trying to build community instead of whatever the hell it is that they're doing. But I'm a collaborator. I like building teams. I like building communities. That's my jam. So naturally, I think about that crap. But I just think they're really dropping the ball. If they'd ever respond to any of my phone calls and sit me down at the table, that'd be one of the first things I would say is this is what you guys should be doing. And then I would convince them to make an MTG game. But Wizards, dude, I'm right down the street, man. It's a 30-minute commute. I can be at the office tomorrow. I'll even bring you muffins. But only for the first time. I'm not going to do it daily. Oh, the sext. Session ended with the long rest being interrupted by the town watch yelling, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have a bloody field for you yet." But that's fantastic. Sitting comfortably atop my hand, reveling in the table. I love that. I love when whatever it is that you drop in their lap makes them just debate stuff. I think to me, that's quality time. I can just turn off my brain and listen to what they're doing, and I just occasionally throw dice. The way that I DM is I have my box of dice, and it's full of dice, and then I've got the lid, and I can throw dice into the lid. But the only 2 dice I use, my players roll everything. They make attack rolls, they make defense rolls. There are no monsters making saving throws. It's attack rolls with your spells, so it's a spellcasting check, which I can use for all sorts of shit. Like, if you want to figure out what that ritual is, you can either use Arcana and Intelligence or your spellcasting check, whichever one you want to use. Because they use the same stats often. Sometimes they're the same, but like the Rogue, the Arcane Trickster, for instance, has Investigation, and he also has spellcasting. So he can use spellcasting, or he can use Investigation to find magic traps, for instance. So there's a lot of diversity there. But anyway, so the only 2 dice I ever roll in the game are 2 6-sided dice. And the way that I use them is I throw the dice. That was both 5s. Hold on. Let me get it. Okay, here's a good one. Okay, so I throw the 2 dice, and they land in the box like this. So the 4 is closer to me, and this, where is it? There we go. I don't want to tilt it up too much. Anyway, so there's a 4 there. There's a 4 and a 6, right? The 4 is closer to me, and then the 6 is further away. So the 4 is the target number, and then the second die has to equal or exceed the target number for the answer to be yes. If it's lower than the die, I rolled a 4. If I had rolled a 3, 2, or 1, the answer is no. If it lands on the same one, it means maybe, which is a douchebag answer. So I have to ask a different question, but they're always yes/no questions. So while the team is throwing out ideas, I'm just rolling dice. 3, 5, 5, 4, 2, 5. So in that sequence, they're throwing ideas around, and every time I hear an idea or a potential plot hook or something different than what I had thought of, I throw the dice, and if it's a yes, I just make note of it. So like if they're trying to figure out, like, I wonder what this ritual does. Well, we know X, Y, and Z, so maybe A and B. So I'll throw a dice for A and B, and if they're both right, then on my downtime when I get to play the game, DMs play the game during their downtime. It's a solo game for them, rebuilding the world so that all the things that are yes that they discovered or that you accidentally said or you improvised, you get to update the world knowing these things are now true. And when you find out that things are false and those contradict things that already exist inside the game, you have to then logic out, why does this thing exist even though the answer is no? Or I have to get rid of this thing because they don't know anything about it yet, because we now know that thing is a no. So now I have to come up with a new reason for why that thing exists, and that changes all the other threads that are weaving into whatever it is that they do. So that's my fun. And I'm so good at forgive my lack of modesty here, but I've been DMing for I'm 48. I've been DMing for 36 years. So I'm pretty fucking good at improvising. And so a lot of times when I'm throwing yes or no, I already have like 5 or 6 reasons why that thing is running in queue, and they're arguing in the back a lot, like sorting out the likelihood of one thing being more true than the other. And I'm just waiting for them to muse and argue over things more so I can throw more dice to lock in those variables to get rid of some potential options, and then have those almost immediately just thread into position. And I also take breaks every hour. An hour to 90 minutes. I'll buffer my world. So it's like every 90 minutes, get up, go have a cigarette, let's grab a drink, refresh our food. I need to buffer the world. So that allows me to have a little bit of cycle time for me just to catch up with what they've done, weird things that have happened, and how I see those things naturally funneling into whatever is next. So I can always keep ahead of them. I've buffered the world enough that I can improvise through the next 2 or 3 encounters that's going to eat up the next 90 minutes. Do that 2 or 3 times, and you're done with your session for the week. And then you have your week to then do a hard download, compress, and then rebuffer reality so that when you come back, you know where the world is going now, and you have those 3 periods of the game to then alter, update, and then rebuffer your world. So that's how I sequence through a game. Some of you guys have play tested different stuff with me before, and I didn't do that a lot because I was running pre-written content that had you running down specific rails. So the only thing I had to do was figure out what the hell is that you guys are doing right now. where does that fit in the rails that already exist inside the content that we're using to playtest. So it's easy for me to let you guys slalom down those different paths and just let you do whatever the fuck you want. Because it really doesn't matter to me, because it's when you get good at improvising, you can just see how whatever shenanigan they're doing, like they always have like these little ends, like these little connector pieces that are kind of dangling off of their thought. Like good players are creating options for the DM to grab and run with, and fun players are constantly introducing horrible ideas. Like, it would totally suck if it turned out that this is that guy's cousin or something, and he's just trying to dupe us so he can sell more cabbages. Like, what a big fucking waste of time. It's like, cabbages, okay. And then when you occasionally use one of those plot hooks that they had used, whether it was actually in queue or not, if you use something that they had said before, they feel like fucking geniuses. It was like, oh yeah, I read into this. I didn't know it would play out this way, but I see it. We were right. And like that is, even if they know that you're kind of like playing in the periphery, like you don't really care what the goals are, so you can bend things in your direction. If they realize you're doing it, it's not that they're disappointed that, you changed the game to make my plot hook. It's not, I'm a genius and I figured it out. It instead becomes, I can actually affect where the game is and what the world is as a player, because the DM is responding to the things that I think are cool. And that just locks them in. That's why I can run a 1 to 20 level campaign consistently, even though I'm always picking up new players. Because once they realize around level 3, 4, or 5 that they are completely molding the world around them, it's kind of hard to give that up if they've just been playing shit Strahd for the past 3 years, waiting for where's the big fucking deal. That's the big fucking deal. So when the DM can just let the world go and not care what they do to it, so that it becomes their world. That's why I don't really build a campaign until we have a session 0. So I know what you want to do, what you want it to feel like, the genre, the characters that you want to play, and set the rules for how easy it is to eliminate them, so you know how throwaway how Suicide Squad of a game you're playing. So once you can establish those basic rules, then the DM has free reign to just make up something. But since you're just making it up and it's not an important story, it's just inspired by whatever it is that they brought to the table, the whole universe is built around the team. And so if a character dies, the team can survive, because the story is built around the objectives that the team have said is important to them collectively as a table. So if they have to replace their character, what they get to do is reassess, how is our team doing in approaching the solutions to the type of game we want to play. It's actually an opportunity for them to upgrade the team's abilities to be able to fold into, we were really missing druidic stuff. It would really be a great idea if we took maybe 5 or 6 levels of druid to be able to gain access to some stuff. But then you can just do whatever you want with the next 6 levels that you have. We just need a little bit of druid magic and it'd be easier. Well, okay, great. I'll just make it like a shifter druid, maybe like a blood hunter druid sort of thing. And so you can have a midline CC commune with nature sort of thing. And now the DM's okay, well, now they can do a lot of adaptive stuff with nature. I can start introducing more nature spirits. Especially if you want to have a man versus nature sort of thing where they're on the side of nature against man. Then you can start introducing more elements of that because they're leaning the party into that narrative. But if you don't really care where the story's going as a DM, you have complete narrative freedom to bend into that space as much as you want, which is why it's important for you to have another session 0 every tier, every 5 levels, because then you have the opportunity to recalibrate, make sure we're hitting the fantasy feeling that we want, what's going right, what's going wrong, what's inspired you from what we've had in the game so far that you want to see more of, and what didn't you like that I need to lean away from. And after a while, you just start picking up on body language, emotions, and ongoing relationships at the table to see how well these things are folding together as a unit to make sure that everyone's you learn like Eric over there. He's only going to add a comment when he thinks it's going to be tactically important or what sets up a kind of fight that he wants. But he's also going to be giving a lot of advice during combat. It's hey, if we coordinate our actions, because I basically do group initiative. and they can lean on each other's actions as much as they want. Like our druid is like, I'm going to set up a couple balls of fire, and he's like, great, you set up the balls of fire, and I'm going to use I'm going to use my thundering strike with my bow and start knocking people into those flames. So they don't care who goes first in the group initiative. It's the druid sets up the flames first. The ranger can then use his actions to horde break and kick a few different enemies into different piles. And once they're taking damage like that, the rogue can Misty Hop in, backstab, and then hop back out with a successful hit and be back in position and hide again so he can't be hit anymore. And when we had the paladin, he could frontline tank to make sure that no one could get through, because he could have a thicket of blades, and he could do provoking strikes and goading strikes so that they wouldn't move past him. And then he could also punt them back. So if they try to get past, he can hit them with an AoE, which pushes them back offline. So they can line up all these different things to work together as a cohesive team, and they're rolling all the dice. So I'm just dictating what happens as a result of it. And also another way that I play is you make your defense roll instead of armor class, and you're always going to take at least a little bit of damage unless you roll a natural 20. If you roll a natural 20, you take no damage. But otherwise, if you roll a 1, you'll take double damage, but you're always going to take some damage. So they know that going in, we're going to get hurt. And they're 19th level. When next session, when they realize that they've successfully anchored to the time portal and go back in time, the reward for figuring out how to anchor to a new timeline is 19th level. So I'll have 19th level character sheets for them and introduce some new powers that they can fuck around with, and they'll have the druid will have access to 10th level spells, and she'll be able to wild shape into anything she can think of, any creature she can think of, regardless of size. So they've been looking forward. They know it's coming, so they've been looking forward to kaiju stuff. And they just accidentally freed the Leviathan, which is a chaos demon. There's 3 chaos demons in the campaign. That one is like a mind controller. Another one can create infinite number of troops, and another one can be any size. Can scale up to any. The Leviathan can just be of any size that it wants. So you can eat an entire world in one bite, if it gathers enough energy to do so. So they didn't realize, but they now realize they freed this thing from its eldritch prison, and they're kind of excited about it because they know when they hit 19th level, the druid can become as large as the Leviathan and wrestle it at the 10-mile scale. So they're actually really, really excited about the mistakes that they've made because they know what they can do. But you can build your tactics together like that, and so you can check in with your team. How's this stuff coming along? Like, this is fucking awesome. We get to, do whatever we want. So anyway, I'm half bragging, but I'm actually really proud of them. These guys never played D&D before. It's an entire table of no one who's ever played. They're like, yeah, they're coworkers of mine, and we were looking for something to do at lunchtime. So each session is an hour and a half long, and so I only have to buffer once a day. So it's super easy for me to be able to stay ahead of them with this time stuff, because I only have to worry about getting through an hour and a half of game at a time. So it's super fast, and a lot of times they'll spend 30 minutes arguing over, should we press the big red shiny button or should we leave it and go someplace else? So it's actually a blessing that it's so little per session, because time travel is a very complicated campaign. I don't know, like 6 years ago, I don't know if I would have been able to do it, honestly. But there's so much buffer time for me that I can update reality and keep an eye on what are they doing to the timeline, and who have they removed from the timelines, from the board, and who's new that's being introduced into it, and like what's the next reward I need to set up, and what's the Metroid challenge I need to create to make it worth them getting, to make them feel like they earned it, all that kind of crap. But typically my normal table, like when I'm running a normal campaign, it's typically 3.5 hours. It's 1 hour, 10-minute break, 1 hour, 10-minute break. So it's actually, I guess, what is that, 160 minutes? Something like that. Anyway, typically 3-ish hours. But that's that's just I'm realizing now that I am not going to get through all 3 of these today. I have just been informed that I have been fucking around and talking shit and not hard grinding on this art like at all. So if people were hoping that this was going to be done today, I am. If you haven't figured it out yet, I am about to disappoint you. But I'm having a blast. I hope you are too. I'm really having a great night. All right, let's get rid of that frame and start thinking about where are we at inside this piece. I could potentially hit save. Why are you? Let's hit save. What's this? Oh, yeah, cool, yeah. Message about it. That sounds fantastic. No, don't worry about it, dude. And you feel like you could produce a pretty successful short form video on everything you've just been ranting about. I guess I could extract it. I don't know if it's. I don't know if the raw take I could just peel that out and post it separately. I'd like to be able to start extracting rants out of these channels and posting them as independent pieces like that. To have like a DM musings off take, like all the thinking, like what Taryn does on his channel. Like he'll rant for he'll stream for 6 hours and rant about all sorts of stuff, and then extract like 3 or 4 little videos out of it because the content was fun. But he's really good at controlling flow of conversation. I'm still super chaotic about it. Like I just like half the time I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'll wake up in the middle of it. So I feel like it's a very different process between us. But I think there's enough nuggets that occur now and again that I could probably do that. I think I'm gonna try doing that. Actually, with a CKU. Actually, is that how that? Yeah, actually. I guess watching me doodle while I'm ranting is just advertising the books that we're making here, right? That's Kickstarter fuel. Is that what that is? Oh, I went silent. I became self-aware. Sorry. What time is it anyway? It's 8:50. Jeez, let's see if I can possibly finish this guy. Not likely. I can't be on all night. I need to. I still have some Spelljammer artwork that's on my docket for the evening, so I probably need to stop in. Well, how much time do I have left on my current cycle? That'll determine whether this is the last cycle. Yeah, I still got 15 minutes, so I'll stick around to the end of this cycle. But this is my last 15. So let's see if I can accomplish anything here. Get this guy built out. This is all. I would do this with a dwarf's beard too. I think that's interesting. I think pretty much in my world, orcs and dwarves are like the same dudes. They just hate, like, they're just looking in completely opposite directions from each other. Don't ask me to provide a lot of examples as to why. It's just something I'm saying off the cuff. I can't really support it. It's just a feeling that I have. So don't hold me accountable to that one, please. There you go, Haas. This guy is cool. Back in the day, one of my gal pals braided my hair into these little dreads, and she weaved copper wire into each one of them, so I could position them if I wanted to. But it was itchy. It took her 6 hours to do it, and I could only keep it in for a week and a half. Like after 10 days, it was like I can't do this. She was so pissed. It was super fucking cool. But I'd never seen somebody weave wire into hair before. I'm like, oh, she's like, I want to try this. It's like, oh, I think that's cool. It took a shitload of wire, but it was neat. It was neat, but super itchy. Would not do again. So I had all these cornrows, and she would weave it in, and then she'd weave in the copper into it. So I'd have these cornrows here, and then have like these little bands, like these bands like this. It'd have these little spirals of copper wire going through it, and down to about here, and then it would just be loose hair again. So I had these tight cornrows, and then it would fan out, almost like a mullet. So like, I don't know if I liked it in the long run, but it was super freaking cool at the time. And I was playing a lot of Werewolf the Apocalypse in a live action in a LARP game, because all the goth girls played LARP, and we all wanted to play with the goth girls. So we'd let them sip brandy and absinthe and talk vampire, while all the guys would just throw bombs at each other all day. It was great. It was great. Flirting with RP gals is pretty fun stuff. That was a good time. That was a good time in life. I love that. Ridiculous fun. LARP. Get out of here. I'm going to take this. I want to bend it in. Like that. There. Shift it down just a touch. Good. And get rid of the evidence. Perfect. Not bad. Oh, this guy's looking burly. Like, if this guy shifted into a bear, I don't even know if I'd notice. Looking pretty dope. God, that is pretty dope. Holy crap. What a coolie. What a coolio. What a coolio. This is the kind of guy that looks like he would shoot first and never bother to ask. God damn, this guy's awesome. Fuck yeah. Hey, we're right back into frame all of a sudden. That's awesome. But you can tell I'm getting sloppy, huh? Can you tell I only have a few minutes left on my timer? Because I am starting to kick through this stuff like I don't care. And that is not good. That's going to make us come back and do it all again. I'm doing this all again because it was so sloppy in the first place. Sloppy. Different angle. I'm glad I have a different angle here. As there's so many people that are looking off. Like, these guys have the same 3/4 view. She's at basically a side view, and this guy is like 2/3 facing, and then this guy goes back to a side view, and then these guys are all face on. It's the only one with the group pick. Let's do this. And then pull that in. No, it's supposed to be curved, Kearney. So we're going to come back and do this on Monday. So we do this on Mondays and Thursdays in the evening like this. Monday through Friday in the morning. In about 9 hours, we'll be back again working on more Illithid battleships storming the beach for the Spelljammer toolkit that we built for DMsGuild. Saturday morning is commission work, and my next client isn't quite ready to have me start on his book cover, so I am going to I'm going to demonstrate creating brushes and how to use them to create happy little environments, Bob Ross style, using digital painting techniques, like we used in the Reclamant book cover, which we finished on Monday. You can check out my Twitter at Phil Kearney if you want to see the results, the final results of that book cover. So we're going to build some brushes and use them. I don't know how that's going to go. It's unscripted. It's just I've done 120 different Bob Ross paintings as Let's Plays, like just painting along with him on YouTube. The Happy Trees, I think, is the name of the channel. Streams Friday through Sunday every week. So you could, if you were a Photoshop artist like myself, you could grab the tools, follow the techniques, and you too would be able to create Bob Ross digital paintings. And that became a very foundational part of the freelance work that I do, because I will say this about Bob Ross: he makes you real good at painting landscapes, real easy. It got to the point I had to stop training with him because my characters and equipment was lagging behind in quality, and arguably it still is. So I'm having to find my way. Like if you have creatures, if you have a 3-point star here, you've got critters, you've got environments, and then you got gear. And at this point, my environment are like, it's like this, and I am attempting to get my creatures and gear something of equal quality so I can start rebalancing my triangle. And I think I've demonstrated recently with the work that I've been doing in Spelljammer that my creatures are starting to get much better. And I think all the ships that we're doing is helping demonstrate that my gear is looking good, but I think they don't flow, and they don't flow as smoothly as the environments do. And that's just because I was hyper focused on creating landscapes, because that was my weakest, and now it is ridiculously strong. It's out of balance. So my quest is to balance my triangle so that I can quickly produce kick-ass shit, regardless of what regardless of what the subject matter is. I just want to get good at building these things, and we'll get there. I know it will occur. If I was inspired to do it, it's because it's something that's being delivered to me and it hasn't arrived yet. I just got an email notification that it's in package and en route to me. You can feel it in your heart. If it's inspiring to you and it makes you excited about taking another step, it's because that next step is going to bring you closer to that thing that you're excited about. Life lines that stuff up for you. It's just your job not to question what the steps are. And they're going to be scary. But that's why it's worth having them. It's all that fear that you solve, and that you figure out that you're better than what you thought of yourself before. And when you have that revelation of how good you really are, that's when the results that you have just magically reveal themselves. Like, we were here the whole time. And that's when you have those insane intuitions and insights and breakthroughs out of nowhere. Those aha moments that you have. That's you just walking your path. It's beautiful. So, and I don't know of anything that demonstrates that so elegantly as artwork. The process of being an artist. It's a path of learning to trust your intuition and your heart. And I think honestly, music is the real heart of it. Like nothing can make somebody cry like music. I don't expect a painting that I do to ever make anyone cry. I exist more in the headspace where hopefully the things that I draw make people think about things, or like think about like tactical stuff, or like what kind of a world would this thing exist in, a narrative space, a realm of imagination, instead of emotion. I've never needed to pull emotions from somebody with my artwork. I wanted them to think about more. That's always what I wanted. Anyway, kind of rambling, as I do. But yeah, I'm technically doing my wind down talk. So we're about to step out of here, and this is still choppy as shit. So when we come back next time, we're gonna finish this guy, and then we'll get down. This guy actually looks pretty good, but if I get on a tear, I could easily spend as much time on the sheriff as I am on the shaman. So hold on, I'm gonna bring that a touch and then angle it better. Muse won't let me go. She wants me to stick around and work on this for a few minutes. So I'm just following orders. The less I think about it, the better she gets. She's like, "Oh, you're really gonna let me pilot this thing? Well, fuck yeah, man. Let's do some Tony Hawk shit over here." And then she starts to play, and I just get to tag along and watch it with you. It's beautiful. And I'm a really big Olivia Newton-John fan, so check out Xanadu. Xanadu is one of the first movies I remember. I think I was 4 years old when that came out. My sister was 7, and she got the record to the soundtrack and listened to it all the time, and I loved it. I thought it was great. I just love being around my sister. She's awesome. But so as a little kid, Xanadu got drilled into my head over and over again. So like everything in my life has kind of led me towards the world is a miracle that we are blessed to play within, and the more you can trust the messages that are being fed to you, if you'll quiet your heart to hear them, the more amazing of a time you're going to have playing here. And then you can be fearless and have the strength to say the things to people that you need to say to them, and because you trust that you're helping them as much as you're helping yourself, regardless of how scary it is. So you can chase after the scary things in your life, knowing that they're the next challenge that lets you level up your intuition, your heart, your honesty, your value to the people in your world. Like being able to not bullshit people at all is a very subtle what am I trying to say? Sorry, I just woke up. Value. It's there's value there. Being able to be honest with people, even though they don't want to hear it, but them being able to trust that you're saying it because you think it's true, that endears people to you a lot. It's an amazing skill to accumulate. If you're trying to figure out anything to do with yourself, your personality, how can you level yourself up? Learning how to compassionately be honest with people is an amazing skill that I am still attempting to master. Which means learning to be less fearful of how it's like, oh, I can't say that to that person. That's totally going to piss them off. But it could be literally exactly what they want to hear or need to hear to be the better version of themselves. You can't judge it. You have to trust it. If it's in your heart, it's there because it wants out, and you are the channel that gets to express it to them. You're being gifted that opportunity to make that person better. Allow yourself the opportunity to bless them. It could end up being your best friend. All right, I think I'm probably done for the night. Skew. Muse isn't letting me go quite yet. Hold on. I thought it was done, but she's like, no. We can go just a little bit more. Just. There we go. All right, I'm going to leave it there because it was Da Vinci, I believe, that said, if you're stop when you're excited, because it'll inspire you to get back to work. Take the breather, allow yourself the opportunity to buffer reality, come back more inspired and strong than before. So I'm going to cut it here. I know all I have to do is some feathers, but I'm going to let it go so that I can come back and be excited to keep things going. So let me catch up. These last 50 seconds too could be. Thanks, Snyder. Having the same food stuck in his beard. All right, guys. I'm gonna bang out of here. I'll be back in about 9 hours to keep doing some Spelljammer artwork, and then we'll be back tomorrow. We'll be back in 36 hours to work on Bob Ross' Joy of Painting landscape brushes. I'm just gonna make up some brushes. I'm just gonna fuck around. We're just gonna jazz. We're just gonna play some jazz. We're gonna make brushes, see what kind of effects that they can make, and in the process of seeing if there's any cool lessons about Bob Ross's style of wet on wet painting on a digital canvas. If there's any kind of things that we can reveal, and if we get really lucky, we might find a brush that I actually want to use in another painting, which may inspire me to create another painting just for the fuck of it. So. I'm outie. God bless all you guys for being around. I really appreciate it. If you've been lurking, jump into the channel. Follow me on Twitter at Phil Kearney. I'd love to have you on a board. We're just going to keep building stuff until it's done. And then we're going to do whatever we're inspired to do next, wherever it takes us. So see you guys in the future. I appreciate you.